Alright guys, welcome to the video. This video isn't going to be really anything in advance or talking about stuff. What I'm going to actually be doing is kind of taking a step back from the games and everything and explaining what's been going on, why there hasn't been that much channel coverage, and then explaining what's going to be going on forward with the channel. And I'm also going to be talking about my opinions on Ultra because this is Ultra that's being played right now. First off, the explanation of why I really wasn't doing a lot of coverage during the last 2 months, actually no coverage at all, it ended up being that I'm in college right now. Well, I was in college. I'm on break right now, and I was also working, and it was coming down to a situation, sadly, where I just had no time to do this. It's one thing to record the videos and that's it. But it's another thing entirely to record the videos and go through editing and all that stuff, because it ends up being rather time intensive, even on these simple videos like this, because you have to go through, check for any damage to the frames, things like that, go through, then afterwards look and say, you know what, was this a good video? If it's not a good video, then I'm not going to put it up. It's just not really what I want to do. This video is a little bit more lenient just because this was I'll explain later on that regard. But it was something that I wasn't having the time to do, and at least not due to where I was comfortable and happy how everything was coming out. So what ended up happening, I couldn't do it. I ended up having to almost entirely stop, playing this, and I actually stopped playing fighting games. I actually stopped playing video games a lot during that period of about 2 months where I just spent the entire time working and doing schoolwork. And it ended up being, I had to do it. What I didn't realize going into this was I didn't realize how much I would miss doing these videos. Now, these videos aren't anything, none of my videos have been super fancy, and they're not really super popular, but it was really fun to do something, to put out there, to put out this kind of content, especially, after seeing all these different content creators, Maximilian, Two Best Friends, and all these different things, not just fighting games, but just video games in general. I really enjoyed watching these content creators and seeing what they were doing. So when it came from my chance, I want to make this kind of content. I really want to. And I got a little bit over my head with how, I was hoping to get popular really fast, and I realized, that's not how it's going to be. It's going to be, you'll get popular if your videos are good enough. That's just how I'm viewing it. It doesn't hurt to advertise. So I'm just making videos now that I would personally either want to see. So this one's something a little bit more personal to me, at least, because this is a video explaining that and then explaining what's going on. Alright, so I've explained why I haven't had a lot of coverage. Now I'm going to, explain what... First off, I'll say what my opinions about Ultra. I love Ultra Street Fighter 4. I think my favorite iteration of Street Fighter 4 was Super, even though I didn't really play it all that much. I got into Street Fighter 4 with Vanilla, because I was really excited. I think my first real experience playing fighting games was the arcades playing Street Fighter 3. I just really enjoyed I enjoyed Ultra. Every character felt strong enough to be played. No character felt worthless. Even Dan felt pretty good, though. Dan in Street Fighter 4 has always been decent. I just really enjoyed Ultra, every character, and it got me onto archetypes that I didn't really play that much before. I was never really a charged character player besides, what I had learned from Street Fighter 3, and after that I didn't really have any interest in playing charged characters. I was always playing Shoto or Rushdown. And it got me onto charged characters, which I was really excited about. This is a whole new archetype and a whole new playstyle for me to get my head around. Then when it came out, I was like, you know what, I'm going to try out Hugo. I actually ended up really enjoying Hugo. I was surprised at how much I enjoyed the character. And it got me into playing grapplers, so I basically now play almost every character in the game. Maybe not at a really high level, but I'm playing them and enjoying them, and that's really all I wanted out of fighting games. So, overall, I can't say enough about how much I really enjoyed Ultra. If you have any interest in fighting games, I highly recommend going out, picking up a copy of Street Fighter 4, upgrading to Ultra. While I still personally really enjoy Super over Ultra, Ultra is really, really close behind there. And I think my reasons for really enjoying Super was the characters that they introduced. A lot of the Street Fighter 3 characters, which was the Street Fighter that I grew up with. I didn't grow up with Street Fighter 2, which a lot of, the older players may have grown up with. I grew up with Street Fighter 3, and those are the characters that I remember and I really liked. So, all of that said, now it's time to talk about what's coming up with the channel. So, like I said, there hasn't been a lot of channel coverage, so I decided to kind of try to start this with a bang. So, I was talking during school. I had actually run almost a seminar for fighting games, where I was showing people different things about fighting games, more advanced concepts, trying to bring them in. But I also did a whole thing with the basics of fighting games. What's a normal? Why should I use a normal over this flashy special move or the super move? What's a hiccup? I was explaining all these different things and going in and teaching it in a class-style format with a, with the blackboard right up there. I had the fighting game there, and I was pointing out stuff, and it was, it was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it, and I enjoyed watching these people that, they wanted to get into fighting games, but they were a little bit, they were a little bit scared because it's almost there was this almost like separation of, oh, you don't know what an FADC is, oh, you don't know what safe and block means. There wasn't a way for them to absorb this information without, maybe feeling awkward about it. So I held the class, and it was actually pretty successful. I was surprised. But there was this group of people, and they all really wanted to learn. A lot of them started off, I'll fully admit, being pretty bad. I didn't say, oh, you're terrible. They were bad because they didn't know. There hadn't been this resource for them to go and learn. And you know what? It's hard for some people to learn just through trial and error. That's how I learned. That's how I, got to being semi-competent in some fighting games and good in other fighting games. But they wanted, and I set up this class so that they would have this chance to have this resource to ask questions, but also to learn the basics and not just throw out punches, but also know when to throw, when to block. So it was this whole little seminar thing, and I really enjoyed doing it. So I decided, why not take it to a video? But then I looked at it, just staring at a guy on a chalkboard isn't that interesting. Why not just, splice the video in, and then so I got into this intensive editing thing. I'm actually working on the first one right now, as we speak. It's actually over to the side, you can't see it, but. So I was working on it, and I really wanted it to coincide with the release of Ultra, but because of a couple things with the editing and stuff like that, I'm not able to do that. I'm hoping to have it up by this Monday. But it was something I was really, really excited to be doing, and I'm really hoping that people enjoy it and take advantage of it, so that maybe you already know this basic stuff. Why not show it to a friend of yours that's kind of trying to get into fighting games? Or maybe, maybe when you were learning fighting games, you skipped over a core concept like, what's a charge character, or like the explanation of charge character and things like that, and the different resources and utilities you can use for that kind of stuff. Maybe when you were learning, you just played one archetype and you kind of want to get into another one. All these different things, I really hope that this video series can, not just help new players, but those intermediate players, not just help the intermediate players, but maybe help those little bit more advanced players. I want to try to cover as basic a concept as possible, so then work my way up to being so that we can take somebody, that wasn't good at fighting games and put them to a situation where they're actually really pretty good. So that's what I really want from that series, and I'm really excited that I have this opportunity to kind of put it out there and help people, because you have all these guys out there. For people that are already kind of familiar with fighting games or proficient in fighting games, I've never really seen a guy that goes, okay, you know nothing about fighting games, let me take you to the point where you're proficient enough to read those other guides to get better. So I want to be the guy to put the guide out there that does that. That it says, alright, maybe you're new to fighting games, because a lot of people were new around 08. There was a lot of new fighting game players. Street Fighter 4 brought a lot of people to the fighting game scene. Now, as we have this whole thing of fighting games are getting more popular, I want to be able to give people this chance, so that they don't feel like there's this divide as they try to get into fighting games. So that's what I'm saying on that. Next, I want to talk about what's going on with E3. I personally love E3. I love the business aspect of it, and I also love the games that are coming up. Really hoping we see something on Bloody Roar. But anyways, as far as videos coming up, we're going to be doing some E3 coverage. Now, what this is going to be is at least me on every night going over what happened at E3, rounding up the day and rounding up what I think was the biggest news. But also I'm going to try to every single night for the roundup have somebody with me talking about it, so that we have its multiple perspectives on what happened. Now I don't know how successful I'm going to be with varying schedules. I was able to get the days off of my work, but I don't know with other people what their schedule is going to be like in that regard. So we're still working on that. Hopefully having somebody there every day, but at least me there every day, reviewing it, seeing what happened, and then posting a video that night with the full roundup of what I thought was the most important stuff to be talked about. There's also going to be EVO coverage. Now, what I was really excited about with EVO, I wanted to do this almost sports roundup similar to what you have with a lot of the sports channels. The downside of what's going on is I cannot cover one of the nights, and I'm trying to find somebody else to cover it for me. Now it looks like I have somebody to do that, but at least 2 of the nights will be covered, and it'll be a sports roundup style little sit down talking about what we saw, actually having the video there because I'll be recording the stream, and talking about, you know, maybe what this player is looking for, all these different things, and really rounding up and trying to break it down for people. So I'm really excited about that. It's something I'm really excited to do. I really do actually like commentating. I will also be releasing some little commentary over other people's games, due to a friend trying to convince me to do commentary for League of Legends, for a League of Legends tournament. So, all of that being said, all of that kind of channel news, what's coming up, and all that different stuff boils down to we're going to be putting out a variety of different content. We'll be having League of Legends content. We'll be having fighting game content from Street Fighter to Killer Instinct to a bunch of different stuff. And we'll be also, besides all of that, be having coverage on non-fighting game stuff. For instance, things like I said earlier, League of Legends. I've been playing a lot of Watch Dogs, and I put up some Watch Dogs stuff. Everything, like, just the stuff. I'll be definitely putting up some coverage on Destiny once I have the access to the beta. So, all that being said, that's what's coming up with the channel. For the end of this, it'll just be, you guys can just watch this Blanka video, this little Blanka fight. And I will see you with the upcoming videos, and I hope you enjoy. Alright, have a good one.